are responsible for knowing how to find the center and the radius of a circle. Now, it is incredibly easy if the equation is already written in this form, because that's considered the standard form of a circle. So you need to be able to look at that equation and say, aha, the center is 1, -2, and the radius is 4. Now that is all the information you need to find out about this circle. Can you look at that equation and figure out where I got 1, -2?
Yeah.
See it right there? Yep, it's the opposite of what's in the parentheses. How about the radius? Where did that come from? It's the square root of that number. So when I look at B, it is already in the form it's supposed to be in. So this should be like easy as pie for you. What's the center? -3, 2. Oh, nice match last night, Abby. I came and watched. -3, 2. What's the radius?
Root 18.
The square root of 18, which, as good mathematicians, we're going to break down 3√2. Because 18 is 9 times 2, Taylor, and what's the square root of 9? Right? Think, you can do that. Okay, now look at equation C. What is wrong with this? This is a circle, but what's wrong with it? It's not in standard form. So we have to somehow take that equation and make it look like this. Okay? Now, in order to do that, we are going to complete the square. And we're going to have to do it twice. Once on the x's and once on the y's. So here we go. Step 1. We're going to take our x's and we're going to group them together, put them together, and put a blank. For this first one, I would really appreciate it if you would just write exactly what I write. And then if you kind of see a different way you'd like to approach it, I'm good with that. But let's just do Mrs. Ford's way for this first example. So we're going to put our x's together and put a blank. Then I'm going to put my y's together, and I'm going to put a blank. Now, I'm out of room, so I'm going to have to put it down here, but you're going to put equals 6 plus blank plus blank. Because if you put 2 blanks on the left side of your equation, you need to put 2 blanks on the right side. Because we're an equation. Whatever we put over here, we have to put over here to balance it out, right? Now, we got to figure out what to put in these blanks. It's easy. Do you remember how to complete the square? It's just like what you did before, Patrick.
Divide 4 by 2 squared.
Exactly. Take half of 4, divide 4 by 2. Take half of 4. What's half of 4?
2.
Squared. 4. That's what goes here. Make sure you add it to both sides. Now do exactly the same thing for your 8. What's half of 8?
8. 4.
Squared. 16. So we're going to add 16. Now what did we do that for? This, that group of x right here, those, should be a perfect square like this. I can write that as what? What square is that?
X minus 2 squared.
X minus 2. Very good. And I should be able to do the same thing here. So plus What square is that? Y plus 4. And then I just add all that up and I get 26. So now you can tell me my center, 2 comma negative 4, and my radius, root 26. And we'll just leave it as a radical. We don't need a number, a decimal, just a radical. All right, now D, same exact scenario. Oh, no, it's not. It's a little bit different. What do you notice about it? There's no y, plain y. There's y squared, but there's no plain y. That's actually good news. That's good news. You don't have to complete the square there. That's just going to stay y squared. We need to deal with the x squared and 8x, though. And I'm going to move the 6 to the other side. Oh, boy, I did a lot of things there. Let's make sure everybody's with me. I took my x squared and my x, and I put them together and put a blank. The y squared, leave it alone. If there's no y to match it up with, leave it alone. The 6 belongs on the other side. Would you agree with me? Along with whatever blank I have here. What number goes here?
16.
How did you get 16? You're right. How did you get 16?
Take half of 8 squared.
Half of 8 is 4 squared is 16, both sides. Now don't freak out. This is your square. What square is that?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. That one, I'm just going to write y squared. Don't worry about it. If there isn't a y to pair it up with, just leave it y squared. What do you think that's going to do to your center now? Negative 4 comma 0. Exactly. If there's no y to pair it up with, it just stays right at 0. And what's your radius? Root 22. All right, right now I want you to do E by yourself. Compare notes with your partner while I take attendance. Huh?
Plus 4.
Take a picture of someone. Paige not here today? What'd you get?
I'm not done yet.
Dane Slay's here.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I might mess up with the sign.
How does my setup look? Does my setup look okay to everybody? Yeah. What numbers did you put in the blanks? You all the blanks? Is there anybody that's got a question about why we put 4 in a blank? Maya Brownlow, you got it?
No, what do you, no.
Somebody tell her again, how do we get the number that goes in the
You have
blank?
to take half of the 4 and then square that. So 4 minus 4 cut out is 2.
When we complete the square, we take half of this number and square it. Katie, I'm not ready to pay attention. We take half of this number and square it. Right? Now, this should be a square. What square is that? X plus 2. Right? It's a plus. This one will be y minus 2. And it's going to equal 18. So what did you get as your center? Negative 2, 2. What did you get as your radius? The square root of 18, which you wrote down for full credit to 3 root 2.
Dang, Brian.
All right. Now we're switching gears to talk about parabolas. Okay? Can anybody remember from what we talked about a long time ago how you know the equation of a parabola? What is different about the equation of a parabola? It has one square. These equations have squares in them, but how many squares do these have? 2. If you have an equation that's got x's and y's, but only one of them squared, you have a parabola. So let's look at question A. For the circles that we just did, you were responsible for finding the center and the radius. For the parabolas, you are responsible for finding the vertex, the focus, the directrix, and what's called the focal width. So when you see on the paper, you see V, F, D, F, W, and the focal width is also called the latus rectum. When you see those letters, from now on, you're going to understand what I'm asking you to find. The vertex, the focus, the directrix, and the focal width, or the length of the latus rectum. All right? So here we go.
We're beyond this.
X squared equals 8y. Notice I gave you a grid. Not because I'm saying you have to graph these, but because I'm the old lady teacher and I need to graph it in order to answer the questions. I think it's easier if you can see it.
I don't think you're that old, Miss Ford.
Thank you, Jerome. Now, this is a parabola that opens up and its vertex is at the origin. Now, I want you just to believe me for a minute about the vertex being at the origin. When we look at question C, the vertex will not be at the origin. Can you kind of see why? There's numbers added and subtracted, just like there were in the circle. If you don't have any of that addition and subtraction going on, it's just like the plain y squared we had in that one equation. It means you're at 0. Now, how do I know my parabola opens up? You must remember this now. This is important. If it is x squared, if it's an x squared parabola, it will open up or down. If it is a y squared parabola, it will open right or left. Now, you simply need to remember that. So somehow, you've got to make sure you memorize that remember, parabolas have only one square. If it's x that's squared, as it is in our example, this parabola will open either up or down. If we had a y squared, which we have in our next example, it will open either left or right. Now, okay, Mrs. Ford, if it's x squared, it's up or down. This one is up or down. How did I know it was up? This number is positive. If the number is positive, it's up. Negative would be down. Positive is right, negative is left. There are some things in life you just have to remember, and this is one of them. Okay? Now I'm not saying that. You do just survive this quiz and test, you do, yeah, but not life. Okay? Now, this point is called your vertex. Your job was to tell me where the vertex is. Well, where is the vertex? 0, 0. Inside the parabola is a point called the focus. In order to find that point, well, it would be easy to find that point if I knew how far up to go, right? That distance we call P. This distance right here we call P. Okay? And in every parabola equation you have, this number will always be 4P. So if we know that 4P is 8, then we can figure out P must be 2. So if the question is, where is your focus? You're just going to start at your vertex, which is at 0, 0 this time, and we're going to go up 2. So what would be the coordinates of that point if we just went straight up 2 units? 0, 2. There's your focus. Now, this number right here is going to change from problem to problem. But whatever it is, it will always be 4 P's. This number is always, whatever it is, it's 4 P's. So using that number, you can find your P value. It won't always be 2. Now, if you went up 2 to put your focus on, you're going to go down 2 to get your directrix. You go the same amount, the opposite direction. So since we went up 2 to put our focus, we're going to go down 2 to get our directrix. The directrix is a line. Now, if we go down 2, where are we? -2? This is the line where y equals -2. Don't get confused. Does everybody get where I got -2? It's y equals, because when you draw the line, which axis does it cross? Y. So this is your directrix. Your directrix is the line y equals -2. Thank you, Paige. Now, the focal width, which is the length of the latus rectum, is this number. This number right here, whatever it is the focal width. So for this problem, the focal width is 8. And what that tells you, just for your own, if you're curious, that tells you how wide the parabola is at its focus. So this length right here would be 8. It's 8 units across.
right?
That's what focal width means. Just write 8. All right, now we're going to try the next one. Okay, we have a quiz over this on Friday, so I really need you to be paying attention. Let's look at the next one.
Oh, we're on 54.
All right, here we go. Maya, just hang on. I know this is a parabola because it has one squared term, so I'm not going to get it mixed up with anything else. This is a parabola. Now, where is the vertex? 0, 0. Because we haven't added or subtracted. In our next example, look at C. See how it's got the parentheses going on? That's going to put the vertex somewhere else. But right now, we just have nothing added or subtracted, so our vertex is at the origin. Which way does it open? Right. I erased my rules up there. Let's review the rules. If it's y squared, it's left and right. Since that's a positive 12, it's right. Now, your focus is right there. You need to tell me what coordinates he is.
3, 0. 3, 0.
Some of you have already figured out it's 3, 0, and you are right. You are right because this distance they call P for some reason. You need to figure out what P is so you know how far to go. Every time this number will be 4P. Every time. It'll never be anything else. It'll be 4P. So if 4P is 12, P must be 3. That tells me I'm going to go 3 units to get my focus. I'm also going to go 3 units to get my Directrix. I'm going to back up 3. Which line will that be? X equals -3. Don't get confused about the letters. Which axis does it cross? The x-axis. So it's x equals -3. This is your focal width. How wide is this parabola? 12. The focal width is 12. All right, we're going to do one more, Maya, then I'll take your question. All right, so here we go. This is number C, letter C. Now, do not freak out. The rules are the same. The only difference is, where is my vertex?
Is it 1 up from the vertex? I mean, from the origin?
My vertex is at 2, -1. Now, let's talk about that. I heard some people say -1, 2. I heard some people say that. You have the right idea. But whenever we write in ordered pair, what letter has to come first? X. So the X number is 2, and the Y number is -1. So that's why your vertex is at 2, -1. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
That's just like your circle, kids. If this were the equation of a circle, wouldn't you say the center was at 2, -1? It's exactly the same thing. Totally the same. Now this is a y squared. What does that tell you?
Oh, right.
Left or right?
Right.
That number is positive. So this guy is opening to the right. the number outside the parentheses. There's only going to be one number outside the parentheses, and that's the number you look at. Now, would you agree that your focus is somewhere in there?
Yes.
You just need to know how far that way to go.
Yes.
So I'm going to look at my equation. 4p is 4. It will always be 4p. You will never do anything else. This is going to be 4p equals that number,
So P.
which means p is 1. Now, you're going to start at this point, and you're going to go forward 1 step. So what point will you be at if you go forward 1 step? 3, -1. That's your focus. Now, if you went forward 1 step for your focus, you're going to go backward 1 step for your directrix. X equals, intersects the x-axis. If you go back 1, what is your x-coordinate?
X
1. It's a line. Don't say 1, -1. That would be a point. You get partial credit for that, but the directrix is a line. How wide is your parabola? What is your focal width this time? 4. Bryce?
Where'd you get the 1 for the P?
If 4p is 4,
It's always 4P?
it's always 4p. It's always 4p. 4p equals this number every time. Maya, what was your question? Directrix.
Okay, does it matter if that's solid or dashed or?
It makes no difference. I'm not really grading your graph. You're going to have an answer blank, just like here, there's going to be an answer blank, and you're just going to write the equation. I put the graph there so that you can visualize it, and that helps you know it's x equals. Uh-huh. Yep, 2 different words for the same thing.
I forgot what it means if we need
This is the focal width. The focal width is the width, it's the width of the parabola through the focus. Okay. D. Okay, somebody just said, do we get out of here? Now, we will be forced to leave around noon. Okay? So we have a lot to learn in 35 minutes.
Oh my God.
So here we go. Letter D. All right. We're going to fill in those 4 blanks. We're going to start by figuring out what our vertex is.
3, 1, 3.
I heard a bunch of people say 3, 1. If you were one of those people, you are right. The vertex is at 3, 1. Now, it's x squared, and it's negative. Down. If you said down, you're right. If you didn't, you need to learn that little table that I had up here that I erased. X squared, up, down, positive, negative. Y squared, right, left, positive, negative. Those are the rules. Now, your focus is going to be inside here somewhere. I'm not grading your graph. I don't care where you put it. You don't have to put it in there at all. You need to understand, though, that you're going to come down to get your focus, right? And we need to figure out how far down we're going to go.
2.
This number is 4p every time. So P is -2. Any idea why it's negative? Because we're going down. If you start here,
Yeah.
and you go down 2. If you start here and you go down 2, what point will that be?
It'll be negative, it'll be 3.
Negative
It'll
1.
be 3 comma negative 1. Kids, you're going straight down. So your x isn't changing. You're still over 3, but now you're going down 2, so you would be at negative 1. There's your focus. If you came down 2, you're going to go up 2. You're going to go up 2 to get your directrix, right? So y would equal actually 3 because we're going up 2, right?
Oh, you go up to from the vertex.
From the vertex. The vertex is the starting point. We go down 2 to get the focus, up 2 to get the directrix. What is my focal width?
8.
Okay, let's not say negative. Let's just say 8. Does it make sense to you that we wouldn't want the width to be a negative number?
Yes.
So we're just going to say 8. The focal width is 8.
Can we tell them by ourselves?
Yep. The next one you're going to try all by yourself. Yep. Make it positive. Okay, so everybody's doing E. And when we're done with E, we're going to take a little practice quiz in preparation for our real quiz on Friday. So everybody's doing E. Here we go. Here we go, peeps. Everybody's doing E.
Are you writing E down?
I'm writing E down. You're doing E. I'm writing it down because I'm getting ready to go through it with you to make sure you got the right answers. Now, kids, you need to be able to fill half of these in without doing any work. You need to be able to look at the equation and tell me the vertex. The vertex is what? Negative 1, 1. You need to be able to look at this equation and say, x is negative 1, y is positive 1. You also need to be able to look at this equation and tell me the focal width is 16. This number is the focal width, period. So 50% of the problem you can fill in without doing anything. Now, see if you can find your focus in your directrix.
3, 1.
So would you go before?
Which way?
Well, wait, you so like
Leave your phone here. Which way did it open, kids? To the right. It opens to the right because it's y squared and positive. That means your focus is over here somewhere. We need to figure out how many steps we need to go to the right. How do we do that? We go back to the 16 and say that's 4p. So p is 4. In this problem, p is 4. So I'm going to start here and take 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. 3, 1. Very good. If you feel like you need graph paper for this, bring it. Use it. I'm not providing it, but you can bring it and use it if you think it would help you to count. Similarly, if I went forward 3 units to put my focus on there, I'm gonna, oh no, I went forward 4, I'm sorry. If I went forward 4 units to put my focus, I'm gonna count backward 4 units to get my directrix. Notice, which axis does it cross? X. So this is an x equals line. X equals 1. Well, start at -1 and count back 4. It would be x equals -5. How many got that right? Here's our practice quiz.
It's whatever the number that's up.
We're going to do our practice quiz.
It's the focal width.
Thomas, keep an eye on that video. It might turn off.
This is Ford, what about that axis?
We are going to talk about that. I forgot I put that on the quiz. Actually, you know what? Okay, let's look at our practice quiz. Totally not consistent, my complete error. I stuck the axis of symmetry on here and we hadn't practiced it. So let's just draw a line through it. We won't even mess with it. Just draw a line through it. We'll ignore that. So we're going to take our equation. Here's our equation. And we're going to find the vertex, the focus, the directrix, and the focal width. Just like we've been doing. So Abby Brady, 2 of these get filled in with no work. What's the vertex?
-1,4. Dang it.
Yes. Abby, do you understand why it has to be 4, -1? Why does it have to be 4, -1? X comes first. When you write an ordered pair, Abby, X has to come first, right? So 4 is the X number, -1 is the Y number. Abby, you also better be able to tell me the focal width. What's the focal width? 8. The focal width is always this outside number. So, shh, everybody got this much done? All right, which way does this guy open? I'm going to go ahead and put my vertex on there. There's 4, -1. Which way does this open? Right. It opens right. Let's talk about this one more time. I erased it again. If it's a y squared, it opens right or left. It's a positive y squared, so it opens right. Your focus is inside the parabola. So it's got to go this way. I could find it if I knew what this distance was. So I'm gonna go back to my equation and I'm gonna figure out that distance. That distance is P. How do I figure out P? 4P is 8. That number is 4P. So P is 2. So I am going to start right here and take 2 steps to the right. So where would I be? 6, negative 1. Perfect. There's your focus. If you took 2 steps to the right to get your focus, you're going to take 2 steps to the left to get your directrix. You go the opposite direction. This is a line. X equals 2. On Friday, we're going to have a little quizzy poo. It's going to look exactly like this. We'll cross out axis of symmetry on that. We're going to run off, so we'll just cross it off. Okay? Now, we aren't done. I need you now, you can draw a line through on your note sheet, number 3. We do not have time this year to do number 3, so draw a line through it.
Oh, no, guys, no, less pre-cal is bad.
Now, on page 55, you see a different style of equation. We are going to do 2 of these today. We'll finish this on Friday. So far today, and this is what's wrong with block scheduling in a math classroom. I have to pile too much information at you in one day. That's what I have to do. We have done circles today, and we have done parabolas. Circles. At the beginning of the period, we did circles. We found the center and the radius of a whole bunch. Now we are going to look at the ellipse. The quiz on Friday will be 1 problem exactly like the practice quiz I just gave you. I don't know. But that's what it's going to look like. Now, on Monday, we will have a quiz over the ellipse. We're going to start it today, finish it on Friday. So we're going to do 2 problems.
Are we going to review this Friday?
No. Now, 8.2a. Does this equation look different than the other equations we've had today?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, okay, guys, we have a plan. We got to get through it, and I don't have time to wait for you to shut up. I need you paying attention. We have looked at parabolas. How do I know that's not a parabola?
Both are squares.
It's got 2 square terms. Remember, if it's a circle, it's going to have something like this, right? If it's a circle, it's going to look like that. If it's got these squares on top of numbers and stuff, it's either an ellipse or hyperbola. This one's an ellipse. We'll talk about the hyperbola next week. But if the equation looks like this, it's an ellipse. Now, you need to be able to find the center. I want you to pretend for a minute these aren't here. That would be a circle. Where would the center of that be, since there's nothing added or subtracted?
0, 0,
0,
0.
0. Your center is at the origin. Look at problem B. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
You've got numbers added and subtracted. That's going to put your center somewhere else. This one has nothing added or subtracted to the x's and y's, I mean. So our center is at the origin. Now, see this 9 right here? that is like a radius number. That 9 tells me to count forward and backward 3. From my center, go backward and forward 3. 3 is like the x radius. If this were x squared plus y squared equals 9, the radius would be 3, right? This number is handled that way. I know it goes sideways because it's under x, and x is this way. So the fact that's a 9 tells me I'm going to go forward 3 and backward 3. What do you think this 4 tells me? Up 2 and down 2. You are never going to get confused about which direction to go. Whatever letter the number is under, that's the direction you go. Now, if I connect those dots, do you see an ellipse? That's an ellipse. By definition, it's a set of points in a plane, the sum of whose distances from two fixed points is constant. But for us, that's right, you asked.
She just spit a bar, what?
But for us,
I know you didn't just pop that out your head.
there's a lot.
I can't even say my phone number that fast. So what did she just
This is an ellipse, okay? Now, what information do you need to know? Well, it's listed. You need to know the center. We already talked about that. It's the origin. These 4 points that you counted out to get, these are the vertices. So there are 4 vertices. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And again, how do we get those? We count. This number, square rooted, tells me how far to go sideways, how far to go up and down. Those are called the vertices. The length of the major axis. Now, when you look at an ellipse, it is naturally bigger in one direction than it is in the other, right? This is called the major axis because it is the longest one. How long is this axis? 6. You went back and forth 3. So it is 6. So when it says the length of the major axis, you will say 6. Katie Roth, what are you doing on your iPad? Nothing is more important than the ellipse right now. This is your minor axis. How long is your minor axis? 4. Okay? Now, we still need to find the foci, but before we do that, I want to get B to this point. I want to get B filled in to this point. So let's look at equation B. Thomas, is that still running?
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. All right, so here's equation B. Last problem we're going to do. Here we go. Where is your center this time?
1 -2.
At 1, -2. Is, oh, I'm going to have to redraw this. Is everybody good with 1, -2? Mm-hmm. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm going to draw it up here because I need some more room. So this is at 1, -2. That's my center. Everybody sees that, right? Just like the circle, just like the parabola, no difference. X comes before Y, opposite, opposite. 1, -2. Now, what does this 16 tell me to do? Not up and down, it's under X. So we're going to go left and right 4. The square root of 16. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now again, if you need graph paper, you bring it and use it. I'm fine with that.